You know, it's kind of wild to think that a simple kid's drawing could actually be a map. Not a map to a place, but a map of a family's entire emotional world, showing all the hidden tensions and unspoken truths that nobody dares to say out loud. Today, we're going to dive into how just a few lines on a piece of paper can tell a story that's been buried deep.
So our story kicks off with a pretty frantic phone call. On the other end of the line is a guy named Pastor Mike. He's a big deal in his community, but right now his voice is just filled with desperation. He tells the therapist, "You have to fix my daughter. Create the product we need." I mean, listen to that language, the product we need. Who talks about their own kid like that? It sounds more like a recall notice than a worried dad.
And here they are. This is the family right at the center of it all. Pastor Mike, his wife Sally, and their 16-year-old daughter Tammy. And look, from the outside, they probably seem like the picture-perfect family. But that phone call, well, that tells us that there are some serious cracks just beneath the surface.
Now, if you ask Pastor Mike, the problem is incredibly simple, and her name is Tammy. He sees her as this rebellious teenager who's about to become sexually active, and for him, that's a disaster that could destroy his reputation. He just wants her fixed. End of story.
But you and I both know it's rarely that simple, right? A therapist will tell you the problem someone brings to you is almost never the real problem. It's usually just the cover of a much, much thicker book.
The therapist's gut is screaming that something else is going on here. Tammy isn't the problem, she's the symptom. It sounds like she's become the family scapegoat. You know, the one person who gets unofficially elected to carry all the stress, all the pain, and all the conflict for everyone else.
Okay, so to really get Pastor Mike, we need to talk about this idea called the persona. It's basically the social mask that we all wear to face the world. For you and me, it might be our job title or how we act with friends. But for a pastor, that persona of perfection and stability is everything. And a rebellious daughter threatens to smash that mask to pieces. So this is where it gets really interesting. You have two totally different stories. The dad's story is, "My daughter's the problem, fix her." But the therapist's hypothesis is, no, the whole family system is the problem, and the daughter is just the one acting out the pain. These two ideas are on a collision course.
So here's the big question. If you can't trust what people are saying because they're using their words to hide the truth, how in the world do you see what's really going on? How do you draw that true map of the family?
Well, it turns out you have to listen with your eyes. Children, especially, will often draw things that they're too scared to say or maybe don't even have the words for. Their art becomes this incredible way for them to tell without telling, a kind of secret language for their deepest feelings.
And the key that unlocks this secret language is a tool called the Kinetic Family Drawing, or KFD. The instruction is so simple it's almost genius. You ask a child to draw their whole family doing something. And that one word, doing, that's the secret sauce. It's not about what they look like, it's about what they're doing. It's about the action, the relationships, the dynamics. And the whole process is really straightforward. You give them a pencil, an eraser, some plain paper, and that one very specific instruction. You really emphasize that doing something part. It's not about being a great artist, it's about expression. Who's next to who? Who's far away? Are they playing a game together? Or is everyone in their own little world? That's where the real story is.
Okay, so theory is one thing, but seeing this in action is something else entirely. Let's take a look at a real-life case study to see just how unbelievably powerful this tool can be.
All right, take a look at this. This was drawn by an 8-year-old girl named Christy. Just let your eyes wander over it for a second. What jumps out at you? Anything seem off? Every little detail here is a potential clue.
So how does a therapist decode something like this? Well, it's not just guesswork. They use a structure of system, like the analysis sheet you see on the right, to look for specific signs and symbols. They're basically translating the drawing from a visual story into hard data.
And what does that data show? A bunch of major red flags. See that heavy, dark line she drew right between her parents? That's called compartmentalization. It's a huge barrier. Look at her dad's arms. They look pretty aggressive, don't they? And notice how Christy drew herself bigger than her older sister? That suggests she feels she's at the center of the family's conflict. Plus, the way the figures are just kind of floating, that often points to deep, deep insecurity.
And this is where it all comes together. The drawing wasn't just a random collection of symbols. It was a map leading straight to the family's darkest secret. Christy, through her drawing, was telling without telling that she was being physically abused by her father. All the clues were right there on the page.
Which brings us all the way back to Pastor Mike, Sally, and Tammy, the so-called problem child. After seeing what Christy's drawing revealed, you just have to wonder, don't you? If Tammy sat down with a piece of paper and a pencil, what secrets would her picture tell? What story would bleed onto the page?